I heard it. I heard the explosion. And the first thing I came up on was the dog. I came up on Digo, Benito, both of his femurs, clean break, both femurs, done. I was like, where's Lewis? I was like, where is he? I'm like, I don't see him anywhere here. And I'm praying that I got some type of feedback, you know. Definitely changed my life, Lewis specifically, and just getting that intimate with somebody and having them, Eddie obviously I think talked about this as well, because Eddie and Lewis were like the 3-man team that we just had so much fun together, so effective. It wasn't even like Lewis was an EOD guy. He was like another team guy to us. He was just so intertwined with our abilities. And in some cases, he could outshoot us. But, that night where that tactic kind of, bit us was that we were up, on this structure. And I was actually outside on the outside perimeter. And Eddie and him were up close. And it was funny because Eddie, Lewis was going to flex where he needed to go, whether it was with Alpha or Bravo. And then Eddie got pulled in because he was a breacher. So I was on the outside perimeter with where typically Eddie would be, but he got pulled in there because he had something specific that he was up to. And then as they were on the edge, there was a little bit of back and forth with what happened with the guys inside. And I think they knew the gig was up at that point. And I think somebody had tossed a frag in the door and it didn't even have a chance to go off. It was like they knew, and that's when the house came down. And when they pulled back, Lewis was right there on the corner, and that I heard it. I heard the explosion, and immediately we were like right into action. We started moving towards the opening of the compound, and I just remember coming around the corner and just seeing, it was like. It was like a building came down, people are mangled. There's dust everywhere. It was just like, I just saw this house and this structure and now it's all in, a pile of concrete. And when the first thing I came up on was the dog, I came up on Digo, and man, that little, he was like, I went to grab onto him and help him out and he tried to bite me. And of course he just got a building that fell on him. So I don't blame him for that, but it was like, as I was trying to help him, he's trying to bite me. I'm trying to pull his legs out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to try to see if any of the other guys need help. And so I helped up Benito, and, he lost both of his femurs, clean break, both femurs, done. He couldn't even stand up. And as I'm kind of assessing all these guys, they're just all pulling rocks off of him and trying to dust themselves off and figure out what the heck happened. And I'm kind of like looking into their eyes like, okay, is he all right? He looks a little banged up. He's moving. Benito was the worst in that scenario. He was screaming. And I'm trying to just assess, right? There's so much going on. And I was also thinking, okay, is there a secondary device that could go off? That for whatever reason, the hair was standing up on the back of my neck. Like that could be an option. And I had seen these wires moving all the way through. And I kind of like had stopped to be like, is this possible that there's something else rigged up here that we're not seeing? And that kind of made me pause for like 15 seconds. And that felt like an eternity because I was trying to look. Obviously, this building just came down. And then right after I kind of had that pause, I was like, where's Lewis? I was like, where is he? I'm like, I don't see him anywhere here. And I looked left and I looked right and I was just like, where's Lewis? And I started yelling, like, where is he? And then I went to the corner. And I think Eddie had like grabbed onto me and been like, he was right here. And then we both started to try to look, in that area. But it was just chaos, right? So everybody's trying to figure it out. And at that point, because we didn't see him, we're like, well, is he underneath, the rubble? And me and one of the newer guys, which was Augment, we were looking underneath and we both pretty much spotted him at the same time. And I'm just thinking, help my buddy. what can I do to help him? And we eventually, tried to pull him out. There was like a little bit of a gap, there. And, obviously it wasn't doing anything. So we had a guy that had equipment that was able to actually like lift up the entire first floor ceiling, which was like that thick. I mean, it was crazy thick. We even tried getting on it and like moving stuff around, which like we had to try, right? We had to at least try to do something. We were kind of shifting all the options as we were communicating with everybody with what was going on. And eventually we're able to get him out. And we were just doing the assessment on him. The doc was on him. And we were trying to just do everything we could to, give him all the support we possibly could in that scenario, not knowing exactly what the extent of the damage was. And at that point, we were like, all right, we got to get him on a helo. And we started calling all the life flights and everything. And it was almost like a blur after that, honestly. I know we got him on, a stretcher, and we got him on the helo. And I'm praying that something that I got some type of feedback, So he took off on the helo, and it was kind of like just continuous prayer there as we kind of unclustered everybody else, got everybody loaded up in the vehicles, and then it was just waiting for an update, trying to get some type of clarity on what happened. And I'd say that probably the toughest moment was, being in there after the fact. And it was kind of like a semi-debrief, but not really, because, we had understood the weight. We're just trying to do everything we can to support all the guys that were, having to be pushed to the hospital. But, when we got word back that, he didn't make it, I want to say that I just went out and dropped to my knees.
I'm sorry, Dom.
Yeah. But there's beauty that comes from all of it. I mean, every single bit of it is just going through that intimate battle, the friendship. You start to understand, what brotherhood is. And, that loss is just impacts you in a different way. And anybody that's experienced loss in any way, knows the weight of that, especially for somebody that they care about. And it was a lot of weight on me just to think about that. It crushed Eddie, it crushed all the guys. I mean, it didn't make it easy. I mean, it was a really tough few days after Mike and Nate just died, and then we lost Lewis. There was a lot of moments where we leaned on each other heavily. A lot of tears shed, around the fire, and just trying to reconcile with what happened. But also building up in ourselves, like, this is why we need to continue to do this, because there's bad guys out there that want to do bad things to people.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.